bald-headed, wig-wearing Paula Metzler on Penfield Town Court, and James P. Mulley Jr., who has more hair than bald-headed, wig-wearing Paula Metzler on Penfield Town Court. My name is Christopher Chichester. I have never committed a crime. How do you two repulsive hacks and criminals sit there inside a library and declare every single defendant in front of you guilty? This is what I'm going to tell the United States Department of Justice, because this is a Freedom of Information law that is attached that you received multiple times. And I'm trying to reach you with a new email because you're obviously trying to block me. What's that say about you? Bald-headed, wig-wearing Paula Metzler and James P. Mulley Jr. has more hair than bald-headed, wig-wearing Paula Metzler. You're trying to block me. It's a new email. This is attached. Every single one of these is attached. This is Freedom of Information law. It is the law you are compelled, you are obligated to comply with. Quote, the name, charge, and sentence of every defendant in Penfield Town Court for John P. Metzler Jr., James P. Mulley Jr., and Paula Metzler. The reason why you refuse to comply with this is that everybody's guilty. Every single defendant is guilty. You, Paula Metzler, and you, James P. Mulley Jr., have not acquitted one person in Penfield Town Court. And how is that possibly explained to the attorneys at the United States Department of Justice, the staff of Governor Andrew Cuomo, and the staff for the Senate Majority Leader and Speaker in Albany? How is that possibly explained that every defendant is guilty? Now, this you received right there. You received this on December 16th. YouTube and email is a valid way to communicate. And I'm also going to be sending this at the appropriate time, registered mail, return receipt, when I will be relentlessly communicating with you with this document to force you to disclose a list of defendants, the charge, and the ruling, because everybody's guilty. And that's why you received this on December 16th and refused to comply. The next day, December 17th, you refused it. The next day, December 18th, you received it. December 26th, the day after Christmas, you received it. December 27th, you received it. December 28th, you received it. December 29th, you received it. December 30th, received it. January 2nd, you received it. January 3rd, you received it. January 5th, you received it. January 6th, received it. I know you were told that, man, but I'm going to count that just to ensure the accuracy of the number. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You follow me? 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 12 times. 12 times. Bald-headed, wig-wearing Paula Metzler and James P. Mulley Jr. demanding a list of defendants in Penfield Town Court, and you refused. How do you have the credibility, the morality to be in Penfield Town Court and uphold the law when the law is a joke to you? This is the law right here. It even says in the document, the Freedom of Information law. I handled these documents when I worked as a public employee in Albany, Washington, D.C. I responded to this document, and there are only a limited number of exceptions for you not to respond. And I responded to every one when a reporter called me, or sometimes a constituent for information. And I provided the information. And the information I provided the most was a list of salaries, which I had to demand 50 plus times from Sandra Dorley and Todd Baxter. I finally received the payroll. And the reason why they're concocting crimes for me, and putting the screws for me, and being outside my residence, screaming my name like a bunch of psychopaths, that's on YouTube called hatred, is because I read these salaries. And I'm demanding it from them again. I'm in relentless contact with Sandra Dorley's office and Todd Baxter's office, and that's why they're coming here, and that's why they're outside my residence screaming my name, and that's why you, Paula Metzler, trying to get me in Penfield Town Court to simply declare me guilty and send me to jail. I will never come into Penfield Town Court, Paula Metzler. Fuck you, Paula Metzler. And if I'm in there, pay attention now. I'll be in there as an innocent man. I have never committed a crime. There's no interest from you, which I'm going to tell the Department of Justice, and the facts as to why the defendant's here, because everybody's guilty. Paula Metzler, pay attention. The only way I'm going to be in there is if I'm physically attacked and brought to, which happened to me on August 30th. I'm going to explain that again. If I'm in front of you, Paula Metzler, I'll be screaming at you and over you, and I'm not exaggerating. You will not be able to talk, Paula Metzler. If I'm in there, I'll all likely be in handcuffs, and I'm going to be surprised if I'm being leg irons. And if I'm in front of you, you start to talk, Paula Metzler, it is going to be the most ferocious sound you have ever heard. You will not be able to talk in front of me because you're just there to pronounce me guilty. Why isn't there a jury in Penfield Town Court? This is the fanaticism and the hatred and the lunatic fringe that you two are on. Everybody's guilty, sitting there destroying lives, and that's not an exaggeration. You were in Penfield Town Court destroying lives, and you enjoy destroying lives. That's why you're going to be forced to comply with this, because I'm going to demand from the Department of Justice that an employee at the department just contact you. You can ignore me. Who the hell am I? I'm just a constituent and a voter and a citizen. If an employee, I'm confident will be an employee from the Department of Justice, contacts you and says, send us a list of defendants. So we heard from a citizen in Penfield, your jurisdiction, who says that everybody's guilty. And it's going to show that everybody's guilty. And how is that possibly explained? You don't acquit anybody. You don't even know how to acquit a citizen, Paula Metzler and James Mulley Jr., because in order to acquit a citizen, you have to know the facts. You're not even interested in the facts. The facts are totally irrelevant to you. So the facts, Paula Metzler, you know what the facts are. On August 30th, I leave my residence. I go to Canandaigua National Bank, down Penfield Road. I withdraw $40. You know why I withdrew $40? Because I had $21.39 in my pocket, and this check brought it up to $61.39. And this is the check I was given, the money I had in my pocket. This check, certification from Todd Baxter, says Office of the Sheriff, that his employee attachment. You were called that day, Paula Metzler. Who called you? That's the other thing you refused to answer. You refused to answer from me, even though I was right in front of you when I'm asking you. You were called to be in Penfield Town Court on August 30th, Paula Metzler. Who called you? Was it Sheriff Todd Baxter? If it wasn't, was it somebody in the District Attorney's office? Oh, you know what, Paul? It can't be somebody in the District Attorney's office because it wasn't anybody in the District Attorney's office that day. You imposed a bench trial upon me. It's not even a prosecutor there. It's not a prosecutor there to make an argument against me because you decided beforehand with these fanatics, degenerates, and sociopaths from the sheriff's office that I was going to be in there. There's no prosecutor whatsoever there because that's the way you want it, you bald-headed fucking criminal, Paula Metzler. So I withdraw $40 to bring it up to $61.39. I walk back down Penfield Road. I make a left at Sanders Farm Drive. I make a left at Willow Pond Way. I walk in front of Wegmans. I see the Monroe County Sheriff Office vehicles pass me. I get to the pharmacy entrance. 5 of them converged on me. One of the Monroe County Sheriff Office employees left his vehicle, ran at me, jammed his shoulder in the small of my back. I fell down. My head slammed against the concrete pavement, and I'm laying on the concrete pavement. That's why I counted 11 of them. So I was physically attacked by a Monroe County Sheriff Office employee. Then I had to go get this MRI. And it says your imaging was normal right there. This is the MRI. I was in the MRI. This is the document that certifies I was in the MRI tube. So then I went from the MRI tube. Guess where I went? You know where I went, Paula Metzler. There you are. I'm standing in front of you. And you already decided I'm guilty. For sending what? An email to Nairaj and Layla Kumar Shahzad? The concoction for me? I'm going to be in contact with them. You can create and concoct the same charge for me. These people are going to you about me walking through a parking lot. You don't dismiss them. This insanity of me walking through this parking lot. What is your contact with Nairaj and Layla Kumar Shah? Because you have had contact with them. They're calling you Paula Metzler and telling you I should be arrested. You've talked to these fanatics on the phone. You've talked to them about me, Paula Metzler, and that's what I'm going to tell the Department of Justice. This is going to another example of your disgusting, cowardly, craven existence, Paula Metzler. You have talked to Nairaj and Layla Kumar Shah. What have they said to you? What's the conversations? You're talking to these civilians, these psychopaths that live over here, saying I should be arrested for walking through this parking lot, but anybody else. So I'm going to tell the Department of Justice that these psychopaths are in contact with you, telling you I should be arrested, telling you what should happen with my case. The fact that I have a case enrages me as an innocent man. And you're not dismissing them and telling them to get the hell back to 2041 Penfield Road and go back to their miserable lives. 50-plus-year-old man living with his mommy. So that's the Nairaj Shah. Did you live with your mommy, Junior? Did you live with your mommy, bald-headed, wig-wearing Paula Metzler, since the death of Eric Metzler? If anybody deserves to be a widow and in pain, it's you bald-headed, wig-wearing Paula Metzler. I hope you're in eternal pain because of the death of Eric Metzler. So, where is it? List of defendants. It's attached. Every single one of these I read is attached. So I went for the MRI tube to Penfield Town Court, bald-headed, wig-wearing Paula Metzler, and you're there. That one word from you. Why are you here? Why am I in courtroom? Your library courtroom. Do you know you're inside a library? is such a joke. Inside a library. I mean, are you going down to the library and checking out books? Are you going down there and getting Gone with the Wind and then going home? So, Paula Metzler. Now, one question. Guilty, and then this week you have to explain to the Department of Justice, as I said numerous times on other YouTube videos that I will send to the Department of Justice. I'm taking the Livingston County Jail. Why? Bald-headed wig-wearing Paula Metzler, fucking fanatic. Why was I in Livingston County, and why was I in Livingston County Jail? Did you make that decision, or did Sheriff Todd Baxter make that decision? What's the answer? So, who called you to be in Penfield Town Court, Paula Metzler? Why wasn't there an assistant district attorney in Penfield Town Court? And what am I doing in Livingston County? This is the lunatic fringe, and this is fanaticism and extremism. And the lunatic fringe, fanaticism, and extremism can't be explained, just like these blue gloves. These blue gloves are in my residence when I got back from Livingston County Jail, where I'm asking over and over and over, when am I going to be released? And when I was there, I signed an order of protection and handcuffs. You're going to have to explain that too. Trying to deliver me back to jail for an order of protection and handcuffs to two people. I have never met you bald-headed, wig-wearing, disgusting, fucking criminal, Paula Metzler. I have never met these people, and you got an order of protection for me to sign the handcuffs. How is that explained to the United States Department of Justice? Just like this search warrant. That is not a search warrant, Paula Metzler. This is an unconstitutional document. What was your contact with Leila Roque of the Monroe County Sheriff's Office? She is the one you handed this to. I will tell the United States Department of Justice, as I've said previously, you need to have the truth hammered into you, that you typed this disgusting piece of paper, this unconstitutional document that says search warrant, that is not a search warrant, in your library courtroom. This is it right there. You can see your name right there, bald-headed, wig-wearing Paula Metzler. This is an unconstitutional document. This is not a search warrant, Paula Metzler, because you wanted to get in here and Leila Roque wanted to get in here. Looking for what? A hammer? I'm trying not to laugh. And she exited with my Chromebook. This disgusting hack, and you're copied on this, Leila Roque, you repulsive $91,000 hack. What did you find on my Chromebook? Why did you take the Chromebook? Because it's on here. It says any laptops, computers, tablets, or other computing devices. Why? I'm surprised you didn't yank the toilet out of the residence. This piece of paper allows you to take anything out of my residence. How is that constitutional? Papers on the floor, all downstairs. The drawers from my father's dresser he gave me from when I was in Brooklyn were pulled open. The cabinets downstairs below the sink were pulled open. My running shoes, they're usually next to the laptop, were 10 feet in front of where they usually are, because Leila Roque threw them 10 feet in front of where they usually are when she was wearing her blue gloves, which is a search warrant that is not a search warrant. How is this explained, Paula Metzler? How is this explained, Junior Mulley? And Junior Mulley, I want to talk about Jermaine Benton. Does his name sound familiar? Does his name Jessica Wagner, the district attorney's office, sound familiar? I'm going to tell you about two concoctions for me. Tell me how this is going. That's why I'm never going to Penfield Town Court, because this is not a crime. Criminal contempt and harassment, second, not a crime. Criminal contempt and harassment, second. This is the disgusting concoction of two crimes for me. Criminal contempt and harassment, second. How's this a crime? I walk outside. Here comes a guy in his tracks from Brock College Tree and Long Care. I walk outside, stand right here, tell the guy in his track to open on down, walk back to my house. How's that criminal contempt? How's that a crime? How is that possibly a crime? What I just said. That's not a crime. I go to now defunct PW Fitness, used to be across from Wegmans at 2157 Penfield Road. I'm at the back of the gym. Up walks to me Jermaine Benton. You know his name, Junior. He goes like that, stands over me, punches down. My head snaps back violently. As he walks away, I had to make an instantaneous decision not to attack him, respond, and bring him to the ground, and I didn't. I should have. Well, who am I harassing? Paula Metzler and James C. Welling Jr. Who did I harass with my head getting snapped back at the gym? Witness calls Monroe County Sheriff Office. Andrew Reale arrives. Todd Baxter, $79,000 a year criminal. We go outside. He tells me to wait in the back seat of his vehicle. James C. Mulley Jr., Paula Metzler. From the time my head was snapped back on the apparatus until I walked outside and sat in the back seat of Andrew Reale's police vehicle. What's the name of the human being on planet Earth I'm harassing? It says my name, harassment, second. Who am I harassing? Harassment second. If I'm charged with harassment second, there is a human being I am harassing. I'm guilty of this crime, or charged with this crime, pardon me, because I'm not guilty of anything. Who am I harassing? From the time my head was snapped back to the time I was sitting in the back seat of Andrew Yow's police vehicle, who am I harassing? I'm not harassing anyone. Bald-headed, wig-wearing Paula Metzler and James Mulley Jr. and John P. Lomenzo Jr., your 70-year-old, disgusting, sickening pedophile protection racket for Daniel Blouse III that used to be in that court. Didn't ask me one word. Just like you, Paula Metzler, because you're an assembly line of guilt. I'm in there with these two concoctions. Lomenzo has no interest as to why I'm a defendant in there. Lomenzo doesn't even know at the time why I'm in there and the facts that I just explained. And these are the brief facts. But since I've been copying him on what I'm doing, he should know. I won't be surprised that he doesn't know because he wants to wallow in ignorance. And that's what you want to do on Penfield Town Court as you're destroying lives, is wallowing in ignorance. You were there destroying your lives. And you enjoy destroying lives. It's not an exaggeration. I'm going to repeat myself on things that need to be repeated. Proof by affidavit. Having been made this day before me by investigator Lee LaRoque. Where's the proof by affidavit? What's life going to be like for you, you bald-headed, wig-wearing criminal Paula Metzler, if there is no proof by affidavit? Because this is not a search warrant. Did you type this in Penfield Town Court? I will tell the United States Department of Justice that you typed this now. If you're blocking me, and you can block me any number of ways, you perhaps may not even see this. I'm going to have multiple emails tonight and repeatedly when I contact you. And I'm also going to send this to your registered mail return receipt so you know what I'm saying. So when I contact the United States Department of Justice and I tell them, Paula Metzler typed this in Penfield Town Court and this is not a search warrant, you won't be able to say, you bald-headed, wig-wearing fucking criminal, that you didn't know that I made this accusation about you, that you typed this in Penfield Town Court. Do you understand what I'm telling you? You typed this in Penfield Town Court. This is not a search warrant. This is an unconstitutional descent on my life. Do you understand me? Just like when those fanatics, degenerates, sociopaths were outside screaming my name in hatred. And that's because of you too, Paula Metzler. And I'm also going to tell the United States Department of Justice that you called them to this residence. And that's the reason why they were screaming my name outside. So, they took my laptop out of my residence. Took my laptop. Instead of reading my emails and looking at the search history on it, because they're trying to concoct another crime for me. So, I have next to me, how many? This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. There are 16 documents in each one of these clips. And I think this is 21 that I counted. 21 documents in each. I'm demanding information from Sheriff Todd Baxter and District Attorney Sandro. They refuse to comply every single time. There's over 400 Freedom of Information documents. I'm holding in my hand 400 Freedom of Information documents for Sheriff Todd Baxter and District Attorney Sandra Dorley to comply with, and they refuse to comply every time. Just like John P. Lomenzo Jr. refused to tell me what the salaries were in Penfield Town Court. The reason why I know the salaries are $28,000 and $34,000 are... Why, Paula Metzler? Why do I know the salaries of $28,000 and $34,000 in Penfield Town Court? Because John P. Lomenzo Jr. refused to disclose that information to me. And you sent me the budget with the line item for the salaries of the two judges. So I have, in this disgusting, sickening, repulsive descent on my life, a $28,000 hack and a $34,000 hack, a $28,000 criminal and a $34,000 criminal, in the process of destroying my life and sending me to jail. How am I delivered to jail because of a $28,000 taxpayer-subsidized hack? How does that happen? So, I will never come into Penfield Town Court. Do you understand me, Paula Metzler? And this is your extremism, fanaticism, and hatred. You think that you sitting there, that you can summon me, especially after what has happened to me, and I have never committed a crime, and that I'm supposed to come and appear before you and allow you to declare me guilty. That's insane. And you're insane. You're insane sitting there thinking I'm supposed to agree to allow you to do this to me. You know, I'm told when I'm in Livingston County Jail, quote, the judge is holding you. Read that YouTube link. The judge is holding you. Because that's what Regina Harper, my public defender, said to me about you. How is that constitutional for you to be, quote, holding me in jail? And it was for what? You know what it's for. I'm not going to say it here. But what I will say here, judge is holding, that's not constitutional for you to be holding me in jail. How come I don't have a sentence? And how come when I'm there at jail at Livingston County, where I don't live, I'm asking day after day and I'm not told? That's because of you and your hatred. So, Paula Metzler, you asked me that question in Penfield Town Court. You know the question you asked me. So I don't have to say, you know the question you asked me, and I know the question you asked me. And the answer to that question is only known by my mother, my father, and my ex-girlfriend, Laura Riley. So you have had access to my personal health care records. And did you know the Health Insurance Privacy Protection Act is a federal law, and you're in violation of it, which I've said in a previous YouTube that is attached. And I've attached HIPAA. So you broke federal law, Paula Metzler, in having access to my health care information, my health insurance information. There's no reason for you to know anything about my previous health history. You are a criminal. When I say you are a criminal, I'm not using that term for hyperbole, to be inflammatory. I'm not. You, Paula Metzler, are a criminal and broke federal law. The Health Insurance Privacy Protection Act. How is my health insurance and my privacy protected when you have the information as to my health right in front of you? How is that possibly explained to the New York State Department of Health in Albany and the Federal Department of Health and Human Services in Washington, D.C.? And as I'm a former employee for the Majority Leader and Governor Albany, I know what the State Department of Health. As a matter of fact, a good friend of mine was the chief spokesman for the Department of Health. And I've been in that building in Albany. So the building I'm going to contact, I should say, the individuals in it, the top staff I've been in Albany, about you having access to my healthcare information. His office was right there where the commissioner's office was, on the same floor. And I'm going to be contacting these individuals. And when I worked on Capitol Hill, United States House of Representatives, United States Senate staffer, I'd ride my bike right by the Federal Department of Health and Human Services. So there's no doubt about it that you broke federal law. Health Insurance Privacy Protection Act, and there's my privacy right in front of you. So these nauseating concoctions is descent on my life. On August 30th, I leave my residence. I walk alongside my residence. 2 Monroe County Sheriff Office employees, one of them is Don Benedetto, running at me on the private property of my neighbor. They run alongside my house. I turn around. I run back up my porch. He grabs my arm. The hammer I just grabbed goes up. I pulled away and walk back in. The guy says I swung a hammer at him. If I wanted to swing a hammer at him, I would have. And I would have brought the hammer right down on his head, which I just grabbed because I don't know who's running after me. And I ran back in my house. That's a felony. These are the fanatics, degenerates, and sociopaths that you have to have work with and collaboration with in Penfield Town Court. And concocting a felony for me on my back porch. Read that YouTube I've attached about Don Benedetto because that goes into detail about it. I've never committed a crime in my life, never swung a hammer at anybody. If I wanted to swing a hammer at someone, I would connect because I'm coordinated. So, James Mulley Jr., when I came into Penfield Town Court because I had a subpoena, you made a deal with Jessica Wagner, the loudest violent thug, Jermaine Benjamin. You know exactly who this guy is. And I'm ordered out of the courtroom. I get a subpoena, and you told me, your staffer, whoever the person was, to leave the room. Because you got a deal to let this violent thug walk right out the door, this Jermaine Benjamin. How do you explain that? I had his snapback. I'm in the backseat of Andrew Reale's vehicle. And I go to jail for harassment second, sitting in the backseat of the vehicle. This violent thug, Jermaine Benjamin, appears before you, Junior, and he walks right out the door because of Jessica Wagner, who is no longer employed at the district attorney's office. She's not on that payroll. And one of the reasons why Todd Baxter's animals are coming for me is I read the paywall on YouTube. So another thing, as I conclude this YouTube at 24 minutes, I'm going to demand your personal finances using the Freedom of Information Law. I have yet to make a determination as to the language of the Freedom of Information Law and the law, but you have to disclose your personal finances. There has to be some document to prevent a conflict of interest with defendants. Where's your money is what I'm going to demand. What do you think about that? I know exactly what you think about that. I know exactly what you're thinking when I say I want to see your personal finance. I'm also doing the same thing with Sheriff Baxter and District Attorney Sandra Dorley. Where's your personal financial disclosure as required under the law? And I don't know if it's state or federal law. Do you understand what I'm doing here to you, James C. Mulley Jr., Paula Metzler? I'm doing everything possible to see that you are removed from Penfield Town Court and sent into forced retirement in humiliation and disgrace. My name is Christopher Chichester. I have never committed a crime.